subject is torque. That's a subject that I've never fully understood. I've heard people talk about torque. They use that as almost as an excuse for slower machines, but we create more torque, so therefore our plowability is greater. Talk to me about torque. What exactly does it mean? Where's it generated from? And is it really a viable term that we should be using when it comes to floor scrapers?
We've done a lot of calculations. We use a couple of different sizes of wheel motors, and although torque is a concern, the amount of torque that it takes to spin the tires, on a broom finish concrete in my parking lot, I can spin the tires on any machine and pumping about 2,000 PSI. At 2,000 PSI on any one of my machines, we're looking at about 600 foot-pounds of torque maximum. Every one of our machines, with the exception of the twister, is putting out 730 foot-pounds of torque. That's more torque than a Power Stroke diesel. So it's way overkill. If you want to utilize more torque, stop the tires from turning. How do you stop that? You add more weight. How much weight can you put on the back of one of these Lightning machines? I mean, you start adding weight to the back, and then that relieves weight off the front end. So you got to add weight to the front end, keep the front end under the tile. So we have matched that size and weight proportionally to give you the right amount of weight on the tires and the right amount of weight on the blades. So the only way to utilize more torque is to add more weight.
Okay.
Now the twister machine at 4,400 pounds, we've got about 1,000 foot-pounds of torque, and we also have the speed. So yeah, if you want to make the machine go faster, you're going to lose, and you continue to have the same amount of horsepower. Our battery machines are running about maximum horsepower available, about 20 horsepower. So if you want to utilize every bit of that and make the machine go faster, yeah, you're going to lose torque. If you want to make the machine have more torque, you have to go slower. So again, if you want to utilize that torque, you got to add more weight.
Okay, let me give you a hypothetical. I'm a brand new contractor to the industry. I'm coming in from another industry, and I've seen guys make a boatload of money doing flooring removal, and I want to get in, but I know nothing about it. I look at the various websites of manufacturers, and there's a full array of scrapers. How do I know which one I need? Are certain machines made specifically for certain applications, whether it be soft goods or hard goods? Is there a hybrid machine that can kind of do a little bit of everything? I guess my question is, why are there so many machines, and what's the specific use of each one?
Most people are shopping price. They want to get the least expensive machine to do literally everything they can do. We have an array of customers. Right now in 2021, most of the customers that we're dealing with, they're doing a very large amount of VCT tile, VAT tile, things like that. So literally any machine that we produce is going to be very efficient at doing any of that. And so with the high capacity, we're talking Targets, Walmarts, things like that, where we're looking at some pretty soft stuff there. But they need high production. They're gonna run the machine for a few hours. And so for them, from what we've experienced, they're doing multiple stores at the same time. Each one of these contractors have got maybe 5 and up to 80 or 90 crews working at the same time. So are they going to buy a twister at $48,000, or are they going to buy a couple of Lightnings? They're going to run it for 2 hours on the job. They're going to throw a 2,500 pound machine in a trailer along with all their other tools, or are they going to throw a 4,500 pound machine in that same trailer, and it may not have the weight carrying capacity. So that's a very simple question to answer on that customer. So you're going to sell them a machine that's going to do the job. No matter what machine they buy, it's going to do everything they want it to do. And maybe whenever they're doing the entryways to those Walmarts or those Targets that has a little bit of ceramic tile, It may not blow it out as fast as a twister, but it's going to get the job done. Now, if you are talking to a demolition contractor who is doing largely the toughest stuff, because the demolition contractor gets called whenever nobody else can get it done. So they're looking at a twister because they're being asked to come in and do some of the tough ceramic tile, maybe the thin set removal and things like that, or maybe a hurricane. But the economics of it is one of the leading factors of the different machines. And then okay, are we going to be doing offices? If we're doing offices, we're looking at, possibly some pretty good stuff to take up is like a double stick. So is a hurricane going to be what we're going to use? Probably, or maybe one of the battery machines, because we're working in an environment where we may have an occupied office next door or something.
Okay. Let's get back into the design of OEM products versus competitors. Your front end has a very unique look to it. Explain a little bit why you decided to go with the front end you have versus some front ends that some of the competitors have.
Our original design was promoted at that time because there was a patent on a round shaft and a round pipe and allowed the blade to form to the floor. We figured out really quickly on the first design of a machine that our frame was just completely rigid. So if you had a 24-inch blade on the front of that machine and you ran over some of your debris, the machine would tilt over to the side and lift the blade out of the flooring. And so you had to back up, clear some debris out of the way, and hit it again. So we, in 98, whenever we started building equipment on our own, we needed a way that the machine would twist to the floor. The body, the frame, the undercarriage would twist while driving forward, which is why we developed the twister. And so the blade bar assembly would allow us to lift and lower the carriage, the blade arms, and then it was another set of cylinders that would allow us to change the pitch, where maybe some of the competitors are using one mechanism to do both. And so we designed that, we patented that, and we've been doing that for almost 20 years now. But since then, that patent has expired, and we've started employing some of the more simple round shaft and a pipe mechanism to allow some of our tooling to twist on the floor and keep it engaged underneath the flooring. But one of the things that we have tried to make certain on each machine throughout, whether it's the twister action or it's the shaft and pipe mechanism, is to keep that blade as close to the machine as possible. The farther you drive that blade out in front of the machine, the less weight is going to be on the blade. So, I mean, let's just take one machine in particular, like a hurricane. If you weigh, and we did, if you weigh the amount of pressure that is on that blade versus the amount of pressure that's on the wheels, it may be 12 inches behind it, closer to underneath the machine, there's a 400-pound difference. So if you move that blade farther away from the machine, yes, it is effective to get underneath things, and it is a little bit more pleasing to the operator to have it farther away from you to see it, versus craning your neck down a little bit to see your blade on one of our machines. The effectiveness of the machine's weight to be properly placed right over the blade and on the blade itself, it's what makes ours more effective in some of the tougher applications.
Well, let's segue that right into the next conversation about blades, because I live in North Carolina. I live in NASCAR country. I use this analogy all the time. Rick Hendrick does not spend $300,000 on a race car and go put Walmart tires on it. So the blades are equally as important as the machine itself. If you have a great machine and poor blades, you're not going to get the performance out of the machine. So talking about the blades, let's start with the composition of the blade. I know there's different metal compositions. A lot of people spend a lot of money with metallurgists trying to figure out what that key Rockwell setting is. I know OEM is kind of known in the industry for making good quality blades, and I know you actually do most of the work there in your facility. You don't just buy and resell. Talk a little bit about the blades and the steel and how you source it and what makes your blade special, just generically.
Okay, being in this industry for as long as we have, we've seen a lot of stuff come, we've seen a lot of stuff go, and one thing that we've discovered is you pay a little bit of extra money to allow the customer to get a little bit more life out of it. That's what everybody's looking for. I'm old enough now where I'm not looking for those deals anymore. I'm looking for things that I can install and make them last longer, make them a better deal in the long run, not just the initial cost. So we choose and have chosen for many years to use a higher carbon content in our blades. Everybody uses a spring steel, and some of them use a lower quality, a lower carbon content than what we use. And some of the processes that are used to sharpen the blades, they'll heat the blade up and actually take the temper out of it. Most of the blade material that we buy is a 51 Rockwell, which is it's really hard, and the carbon content allows that blade to stay sharper longer. But the way that we actually sharpen our blades in-house, we use a flooded way to keep the blades cool, and so we sharpen our own blades, we cut our own blades, we ship them all over the United States, all over the world. But the long and short of it is, if there is a better product out there, we're going to find it. So far, we have found the best for this industry. And if you're driving forwards with 500 to 1,000 pounds of pressure on any type of product, whether it's carbon steel, spring steel, even carbide, it's not going to last very long. But we do have the longest lasting blade out there.
Thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoyed this third segment of the BMD Learning Series focusing on floor scrapers. Please join us next week for the fourth installment, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share if you found this informative and beneficial to your business. And don't forget to click that bell icon to be notified when we post a new video.